don't get more money.
All right, so the House voted to extend cash for clunkers, but some senators balking because of the cost. Joining me right now to talk about this, Geoff Pohanka, who's president of the Washington, D.C. area's Pohanka Automotive Group. He's a former director of the National Automobile Dealers Association. Also, Republican Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona, who voted against extending cash for clunkers. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. And Geoff, let me start with you. I know you've got about 15 dealerships. Give us a sense of what this program has been like for you, how it's changed your life at the dealership last week or so.
Well, there are a lot of stimulation programs out there that Congress has done, but this one, I haven't really felt the impact of those. This one I'm feeling. It's really brought a lot of customers into the dealership. Our dealerships have done about over 300 of these so far. Customers are very excited about the program. I'm excited. You know, the auto industry is one of the pillars of our economy. As you know, we've been on our knees. Car sales have been down about 35%, and this is having the stimulative effect that was intended.
But beyond that, okay, so it's been really good so far, but beyond that, why do you need another $2 billion on top of what's already been put into it?
That's a good question. This program is not new. It's been used in Europe and South America and China, and it's worked everywhere it's been put in. And the idea is try to get our industry going again, you know, stimulation. And it's working. Now, original intent was to spend $5 billion on the program, but only $1 billion was as allocated. And certainly that's only going to do so much. It'll result in about 250,000 unit sales. The original intent was 1.25 million sales. So basically, the program was only funded 20% of the originally intended, and as such, it's gotten cash starved, especially because consumers have really embraced this program.
Right. So to that point, Congressman Franks, I mean, you heard what Geoff just said. In addition to that, I mean, look at it more big picture. Ford Motor Company saying that their sales shot up 60% in July. I mean, isn't this what we wanted to help the automobile industry, to boost the economy?
Well, Campbell, the reality is, though, that the money that it took to finance this came out of other people's pockets, and that impacted the rest of the economy. You know, when this country was first began, a guy named Fred Bastiat said, "Government is that great fiction through which everyone endeavors to live at the expense of everyone else." It shouldn't surprise us that the automobile industry is glad to see this, and I think there have been some positive elements of it, but the bottom line is this has hurt the poorest of the poor more than it's hurt anyone.
How? Explain that. I mean, how are the poorest of the poor being hurt by this program?
Well, most of the poor people, really poor people that couldn't even take advantage of this, were dependent upon used vehicles, and this has caused used vehicles to rise in price, and some of the parts that other used vehicles were used to be able to buy, say, at a junkyard or something like that. The used vehicles now are coming at a premium, and it's hurting the poorest of all the poor. And the bottom line is the entire program comes at the expense of the rest of the economy. Anytime government gets in the middle of this, they choose winners and losers. And the Constitution said that we have the power to regulate commerce, but it didn't say that we should be the biggest participant in it. And always the same happens when government gets involved. It ends up discombobulating the economy and hurting some of the people that it was ostensibly meant to help.
But as you certainly know, Congressman, government's involved in the economy for better or worse in a million different ways right now. But let me ask you about some of the other arguments the Obama administration puts out, which is that there are long-term benefits to this, the effect it'll have on the environment, you know, by forcing people or incentivizing people to stop buying these gas guzzlers, and also lessening our dependence overall on foreign oil. Is there any benefit beyond the immediate? Go ahead.
I'm strongly committed to lessening our dependence on foreign oil. I have worked very hard to see us be able to drill more of our own oil so that we're not depending on foreign oil, but the administration hasn't let that occur. But, you know, there are other impacts of this. You know, most of the cars that this allows people to buy are mostly smaller cars, and those smaller cars may do well in crash tests, but the passengers don't. So there are other, you know, secondary impact that we never measure. And the bottom line is, when government comes in and decides that it's going to choose winners and losers, ultimately the economy is the loser. And a lot of these cars that are bought, people would want to buy them at some point anyway. But in this case, what we've done is we've incented people that many times couldn't afford to buy them to go ahead and buy, which has only lessened their financial security even worse.
Okay, Geoff, let me let Geoff respond to some of the points he made there. Go ahead.
I respectfully disagree that it has harmed the poor Americans. In fact, it's assisted them tremendously. Now, it may be hard for someone outside an auto dealership to understand how this works. and sometimes things don't work like they're intended, but this one really is. And I've been on the showroom floor talking to customers, so I'm kind of curious their reaction to this. This actually helped the poorest Americans, because most of the poorest Americans don't have credit, they don't have a down payment, and often they are upside down their car, meaning if they owe money in their car, they owe more than it's worth. But in this case, people come in and they have positive equity. They have money to put down. They can get a better interest rate. The banks, are kind of hard loaning money to people nowadays. They look at the customers coming into the Cash for Clunkers program much more favorably. In one case, on Friday, we had a customer who had an old used car. They only paid $500 for that used car. They've had it over a year, and they got $3,500 into the program to buy a new car. They were so happy. So I respectfully disagree. This has helped. Now, one thing to think about, there's different types of stimulus. I think there's good stimulus and bad stimulus. This is good stimulus. And why is it good stimulus? It's very cost effective. It's very efficient. And in fact, up to 40% of the stimulus money is going right back to the government in form of sales tax immediately once the car is purchased.
A debate. Go ahead quickly, Congressman.
Well, quickly, the bottom line is that for a small sector of the middle class, the gentleman is correct. But overall, it hurts the economy. And for the poor, who don't even have the ability to access this program, they can't afford the payments of a new car, it has driven the cost of the used cars up, and it has hurt the poorest of the poor profoundly.
All right, gentlemen, a debate that will continue, obviously. We're still waiting to see how the Senate's going to vote on this. But many thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The big question tonight.